Imagine this. You're standing at the crossroads of life, where from an early age you've been told that hard work, talent, and determination will guarantee success. Yet as you peer behind the comforting veil of that childhood promise, you begin to see a world where unseen forces, biases, systemic inequities, and inherited privileges dictate outcomes more than merit ever could. Some believe in the sanctity of equal opportunity, trusting that if you play by the rules, rewards will follow. Others, however, see the harsh reality, a landscape skewed in favor of those already armed with advantages. But why is it that, despite our best efforts and intentions, the world often feels inexplicably rigged? What is it about our social systems that distorts fairness, leaving many of us to wonder if merit really matters at all? This isn't just an idle philosophical musing. Throughout history, every corner of society, from education and employment to politics and justice, has been marked by a persistent, if subtle, inequity. The illusion of fairness is a comforting myth, one that lulls us into believing that our individual efforts determine our fate. Yet when we scrutinize the evidence, we see that systemic forces often conspire to favor a select few, leaving the rest scrambling to catch up. Let's take a deeper dive. The mirage of equal opportunity. From the moment we enter school, we're bombarded with the message that talent and hard work are the keys to unlocking our potential. We celebrate the rags to riches narratives of entrepreneurs and athletes, convinced that the world is fundamentally just. But beneath this optimistic veneer lies a paradox. While our cultural narratives emphasize fairness, the structures around us tell a very different story. Consider the classrooms, boardrooms, and courtrooms where decisions are made, not solely on merit, but often on an intricate web of historical biases, cultural expectations, and unspoken rules. Our institutions are built on systems that, intentionally or not, perpetuate inequality. The reality is that what we often perceive as a level playing field is in fact a series of escalators, some moving upward faster than others, while many remain stuck on the lower rungs. The hidden biases in our systems. Let's pause for a moment and imagine two candidates applying for the same coveted position. On paper, they both have impressive resumes and commendable achievements. Yet, if you dig deeper, you might find that one candidate benefited from an elite education funded by generations of privilege, while the other struggled to overcome obstacles born of systemic neglect. Despite similar qualifications, the subtle biases inherent in hiring practices and social networks often give the first candidate an edge. These biases are rarely overt. They hide in the shadows of unconscious assumptions about race, gender, class, and even appearance. They are the invisible hands that guide decisions in recruitment, promotions, and opportunities. Research has repeatedly shown that identical resumes receive different evaluations when names or backgrounds hint at privilege or the lack thereof. The message is clear. Fairness is less about equal opportunity and more about navigating a labyrinth of implicit prejudices. The social construct of fairness. We've been conditioned to believe in a world where justice prevails, where every action is met with an equal and just reaction. This belief in fairness is a social construct, designed to maintain order and to offer comfort in a chaotic world. It's the story we tell ourselves to justify the existing order, even when that order systematically benefits only a select few. In schools, children are taught that if they work hard, they'll get good grades, and if they excel, they'll be rewarded. Yet as they grow older, many realize that success is not just a product of effort, but also of access to quality education, mentorship, and financial resources. This realization forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. The very idea of fairness is undermined by the inequities that shape our lives. The psychological toll of the fairness myth. Believing in a fair world is both empowering and dangerous. On one hand, it inspires us to strive for greatness, to believe that our efforts will be recognized. On the other hand, it can lead to a profound sense of disillusionment when reality falls short. For those who struggle against systemic biases, the promise of fairness becomes a cruel irony, a reminder that despite their hard work, the cards have been stacked against them from the start. This cognitive dissonance can have a significant psychological impact. When people invest their hopes and dreams in a system that ultimately doesn't reward merit alone, the resulting frustration and disillusionment can lead to feelings of powerlessness, anger, and even apathy. The myth of fairness is not just a benign story. It shapes our self-worth and influences how we view our place in society. A closer look, case studies in inequity. Let's look at some real-world examples that expose the illusion of fairness. In the world of sports, for instance, while talent and dedication are celebrated, research shows that access to elite training facilities, coaching, and even the financial means to pursue a career in athletics often make the difference between success and failure. The playing field is not as level as it appears. In the corporate realm, the glass ceiling is a stark reminder that promotions and opportunities are not solely a function of performance. Studies reveal that leadership roles are disproportionately occupied by individuals from backgrounds of privilege, even in companies that claim to value meritocracy. The same patterns can be seen in politics and media, where the power of entrenched interests and well-connected networks often dictates outcomes, regardless of an individual's talent or effort. The root causes, historical and structural forces. To understand why the illusion of fairness persists, we must examine the historical and structural forces that underpin our society. Our social systems did not emerge in a vacuum. They are the product of centuries of cultural, economic, and political evolution. Many of our institutions were built during times when exclusionary practices were the norm, and these practices have left an indelible mark on the fabric of modern society. For example, the legacy of colonialism, slavery, and segregation continues to influence economic and social structures around the world. These historical injustices have created cycles of privilege and poverty that are incredibly difficult to break. The idea that anyone can rise to the top with hard work is deeply undermined when one considers the generational advantages that some groups have inherited, advantages that are simply not available to everyone. Unmasking the illusion, recognizing hidden bias. So what does it take to unmask this illusion of fairness? The first step is acknowledging that hidden biases exist in every facet of our lives. They are not always obvious, but they are there, in our workplaces, schools, and communities. Recognizing these biases is not about assigning blame, but about understanding the true nature of the systems we operate within. It means questioning the status quo, asking hard questions about why certain groups consistently outperform others, and scrutinizing the policies and practices that maintain these disparities. It means being honest with ourselves about the limits of meritocracy in a world where not everyone starts from the same place. The role of institutions and policy. Changing this narrative requires more than just individual awareness. It demands systemic change. Institutions, whether they are educational, corporate, or governmental, have a crucial role to play in addressing hidden biases. Policy reforms that focus on equal access to opportunities, transparent decision-making processes, and accountability for discrimination are essential. Imagine a society where hiring practices are audited for bias, where schools are adequately funded regardless of a neighborhood's wealth, and where public policies actively work to dismantle historical inequities. In such a society, fairness would no longer be an illusion, but a reality that reflects true equal opportunity. But getting there requires a radical rethinking of how we define and measure success. The intersection of merit and privilege. One of the most contentious aspects of this discussion is the interplay between merit and privilege. How do we measure success when the starting line is different for everyone? The current narrative often glorifies individual achievement, without accounting for the uneven terrain on which that achievement is built. When we celebrate self-made success stories without acknowledging the support systems, the unearned advantages, and the societal structures that made that success possible, we risk perpetuating a myth. This myth not only distorts our understanding of what it means to work hard, but it also fuels resentment among those who find themselves excluded by an unequal system. The cultural obsession with fairness. There is something deeply ingrained in our cultural psyche about fairness. It's a concept that resonates with our sense of justice and morality. From fairy tales to modern cinema, we are drawn to stories where good ultimately triumphs over evil, where hard work is rewarded, and where every wrong is righted. But these narratives, while uplifting, often gloss over the gritty reality of systemic inequities. Our cultural obsession with fairness can sometimes blind us to its limits. By insisting that the world should be fair, we may inadvertently ignore the hard truths about bias and privilege. It's a double-edged sword. While the belief in fairness inspires hope, it can also lead to disillusionment when the evidence of bias is undeniable. A call for a new perspective. If the traditional narrative of fairness is flawed, then what alternative do we have? The answer lies in a more nuanced understanding of success, one that recognizes the interplay of individual effort, structural advantages, and historical context. Instead of clinging to the comforting myth of equal opportunity, we must confront the reality that merit is often intertwined with privilege. This new perspective calls for a radical shift in how we design our social systems. It challenges us to create environments where success is not a zero-sum game dictated by hidden biases, but a collective achievement built on genuine equality of opportunity. It means reimagining our institutions so that they serve as true ladders of upward mobility, rather than reinforcing the status quo. Learning from history, the cost of ignoring bias. History offers many cautionary tales about what happens when society ignores systemic bias. When institutions fail to address inequities, they breed not only resentment but also instability. Economic disparities can lead to social unrest, while political disenfranchisement undermines the legitimacy of governance. The illusion of fairness may keep the peace for a while, but it is a brittle peace, one that can shatter under the weight of its own contradictions. Consider the labor movements of the past century, where workers fought tirelessly for rights and recognition in an environment that favored the powerful. Their struggles remind us that fairness is not something that will automatically manifest. It must be fought for and continuously defended. The price of complacency is too high when systemic biases remain unchallenged. Reclaiming fairness through conscious action. So, how do we reclaim fairness in a world that seems predisposed to favor the privileged? It begins with conscious action, both at an individual and institutional level. For individuals, it means being aware of our own biases and actively seeking to challenge them. It means supporting policies and practices that promote transparency, accountability, and equal opportunity. For institutions, the path forward involves a commitment to systemic change. This could mean rethinking recruitment processes to minimize bias, investing in underserved communities, or implementing mentorship programs that bridge the gap between privilege and potential. It's about transforming our systems so that they reward true merit, not just inherited advantage. The power of empathy and strategic awareness. Navigating a world marred by hidden biases requires a blend of empathy and strategic awareness. Empathy allows us to see beyond our own experiences and recognize the structural disadvantages that many face. Strategic awareness, on the other hand, equips us with the tools to challenge and change these structures from within. Imagine a society where leaders are not only skilled in strategy, but also deeply empathetic. Leaders who understand that fairness is not just an abstract ideal, but a concrete goal that demands deliberate effort. Such leaders would work tirelessly to dismantle the barriers that keep success confined to the elite, paving the way for a more inclusive and just society. The evolution of fairness in the digital age. In today's digital era, the illusion of fairness takes on new dimensions. Social media, algorithms, and data-driven decision-making have all reshaped how opportunities are distributed. While technology holds the promise of democratizing access, it also has the potential to reinforce existing biases if left unchecked. Algorithms designed to filter and rank content, job applications, or even credit scores can inadvertently perpetuate discrimination. They are only as unbiased as the data fed into them, a data set that often reflects historical inequities. In this way, the digital revolution is a double-edged sword. It can either be a tool for true equality or a mirror that amplifies the hidden biases of society. Charting a path forward. The challenge before us is clear. How do we harness the transformative potential of technology while ensuring it does not exacerbate inequality? The answer lies in vigilance, transparency, and continuous improvement. Policymakers, tech companies, and society as a whole must work together to create systems that are not only efficient but also equitable. By promoting transparency in algorithms and decision-making processes, we can begin to demystify the mechanisms that drive our digital lives. It is only by acknowledging and addressing these biases that we can hope to create a fairer digital future, a future where technology serves as a bridge to opportunity rather than a barrier. Embracing the complexity of fairness. Ultimately, the quest for fairness is not about finding a simple answer or a one-size-fits-all solution. It's about embracing complexity and recognizing that the interplay of individual merit, structural forces, and historical context creates a tapestry that is far from black and white. The illusion of fairness is deeply woven into the fabric of our society, and unraveling it requires both courage and persistence. By confronting the uncomfortable truths about systemic bias, we open the door to real change. We can begin to dismantle the myths that have long justified inequity and build a future where fairness is not an illusion, but a lived reality. Conclusion: redefining success on our own terms. So where does that leave us? The journey toward true fairness is not about abandoning our ideals, but about redefining them. It's about recognizing that success is more than a product of hard work. It's a dynamic interplay of effort, opportunity, and sometimes sheer luck. To build a society that genuinely rewards merit, we must be willing to challenge our assumptions, question the status quo, and work collectively to remove the barriers that hold so many back. This isn't a call to cynicism, but a rallying cry for informed, conscious action. When we peel back the layers of the fairness myth, we don't discover that the world is inherently cruel. Rather, we see that the systems we've built are in desperate need of reform. Fairness, then, is not something we inherit, it is something we must create. Imagine a world where every individual has an equal shot at success, not because we assume everyone starts on the same footing, but because we actively work to level the playing field. This is a future where fairness is not an illusion, but a measurable, attainable reality. It's a future where the hidden biases of the past are exposed and dismantled, making way for genuine equality of opportunity. If this exploration of the illusion of fairness has challenged your assumptions and sparked a desire to dig deeper into the hidden forces shaping our society, then join the conversation. Let's question the status quo, shine a light on the inequities that pervade our institutions, and work together to build a society that lives up to its promise of fairness and justice. Remember, understanding the true nature of fairness is not about giving in to despair. It's about empowering ourselves with knowledge so that we can forge a better future. A future where success is determined by genuine talent and effort, rather than by the invisible hand of bias. So as we move forward, let's be vigilant. Let's scrutinize our institutions, challenge our assumptions, and work tirelessly to transform our world into one where the promise of fairness is not a myth, but a reality that benefits all. If you found this discussion thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. Like, share, and leave a comment with your thoughts, because only through conversation and collective action can we hope to unravel the complexities of our society and build a fairer future together. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay committed to questioning the status quo. Until next time, keep challenging the illusion and strive for a world where fairness is truly for everyone.